Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody. Grace Simon here with the New Doors Mentorship and Coaching. And we are on day 5 of our 20, day 5, day 5 of our 21 day reset. And this is like my personal journal analog of my 21 days journey, which should be fun to look over from this point on to see what happens. Anything can happen. Anything can happen during a reset time, especially when you're into prayer and fasting. Anything is possible. Anything can happen at any given time, especially when you are having to apply faith. And that is the topic for today is faith. What is faith? What is faith to you? What does it mean to you? In Matthew 17:20, it says, faith as small as a mustard seed. Faith as small as a mustard seed. What do you think about that? Why a mustard seed? I wonder. Why a mustard seed? They use the size that we've talked about it before, is that they use the size of a mustard seed because a mustard seed starts out little tiny and it grows into, a massive bush. And so it says that we just only need to take the size of a mustard seed faith and you can move mountains. You can see the possibilities in your life. But sometimes, I don't know, what about you? When you're in a hard time and your back up is against the wall, you're grasping to be able to have any kind of faith. And so that's why, there in the Bible, it says it just takes the size of what God says, just takes the size of a mustard seed. It's not much, but just whatever you have, give it, put it forward. And, when your back up is against the wall, then that little tiny mustard seed seems impossible. But if you were to grab onto that little piece of possibility, anything can really happen from there. When we apply, we're talking about thought of as a man thinketh, so is he in his heart. And it really comes down to, do you believe? Can you believe even a tiny little bit that anything is possible, that something can turn around, that anything can happen? In effective thought on circumstance, in this book, it says a man's mind can be likened to a garden. I love this. Which may be intelligently cultivated or allowed to run wild. But whether cultivated or neglected, it must and it will. So it's not if, it's when. When it produces, it must bring forth. If no useful seeds are put into it, then abundance of useless weed seeds will fall therein and will continue to produce their kind. So it doesn't matter. The man's mind is like a garden. There are things going to grow because that's how your mind works. It's always operating. You want to be operating, or else you're going to be called a produced vegetable, right? No, your mind is like a garden, and we want to be really careful with how we garden it, how we take care of it. We want to cultivate it with the proper thoughts, but we want to talk about the cultivating the thoughts in a place of needing faith. Faith in our thoughts gives it power to manifest. In Hebrews 11:1, it says, faith is the substance or the confidence of things hoped for, not seen. Let's take that one again. Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the substance or confidence of things hoped for, yet not seen. So we don't need a lot of substance. We don't need a lot of confidence, but we need something to apply. We need to apply our thoughts. We need to apply and direct our thoughts, because our thoughts empower us. Our thoughts bring us forward. Our thoughts have different faculties. We have faculties inside that help us to create, help us to bring forward memory, to create new memory, to reason, to make decision, right? We have these faculties that help us to reason with ourselves and with our thoughts. And so we have these wonderful faculties, and one of them, being able to have faith in that. And I know that, when I get into a place of unknown, and in fact, it's so interesting that today was a really hard day. I don't look very good because I had a moment. Like, we all have times. And like I said, this is my personal journey of 21-day reset, and, just surrendering my own inhibitions, surrendering my striving, my going after. This is like my time when I really do lay it down. I get rid of the distractions. I get rid of the yummy food that I love to eat, right? I don't enjoy a nice glass of wine during 21-day reset. I get rid of anything that really is comforting to me. And I don't do it to abuse myself or to beat myself or anything. I just do it to get some clarity of where my help comes from, and where my assurance is, and where my confidence is, whether it's the confidence in myself, because that's something that's really important, is you need to have belief in yourself, and you need to have confidence in yourself. But more important, do I trust God? And do I really believe that God exists? Or do I believe that God is who he says he is, right? And in the Holy Bible, and I say this word so often to him, and I have to remind him that, God, you're not a man that you should lie, but you hold true to every word that proceeds out of your mouth. And I remind God about that. I remind myself, and I remind God. And that's why it's important for you to have an anchor. It's so important to you have faith. It's really impossible. It says, without works, it's impossible to please God. Like, God wants us to have faith, and we've all been given an equal portion of faith. And when it says, he also says that when you lack faith, when you don't have faith, faith comes. Just ask and it shall be given. Seek and it will find. Knock and the door will answer. But when we have our back up against the wall, when things on the outward circumstance, we tend to go outwards, don't we? Our thoughts take us outwards on what we see, what we hear, what we have in our bank accounts, what's going on in our household, what is going on in our physical body. We make decisions. We have perceptions. We have perspectives. We have reactions. We talked about the few different levels of awareness yesterday. And when we're living in a lower level of awareness and understanding of life and journey, and how we are really being transformed into the likeness of God. We were made in the likeness of God, but we need to be transformed because we live on an earth of lots of different circumstances and situations, and we handle them in an earthly manner, not in a God manner. But we have the ability to be godlike, but we need God. We cannot be godlike without God. And so we need to seek him. It says to seek him with your whole heart, to seek him and to find him. He says, when you seek me, you will find me. When you draw close to me, I draw closer to you. And that takes faith, starting with, do you believe? Do you believe that he's there? Do you believe that he's real? Do you believe that he's able to help cultivate the beliefs? Is he able to help cultivate a transformation or an experience or things happening? It says, man is buffeted by circumstances so long as he believes himself to be the center of outside circumstances. So man is buffeted by circumstances so long as he believes himself to be the creature of outside conditions. But when he realizes that he is a creative power, that he may command the hidden soil and seeds of his being out of which circumstances grow, he then becomes the rightful master of himself. Powerful. It really is powerful. Like I said, God will never change your mind. He doesn't. It says for us to renew our mind, us to transform our mind, us to apply faith. And faith is not the things that we see on the outward circumstances, but it's that hope within ourselves that we know that things are going to work out. That we by applying principles, by applying activation and what it is that we're growing, what we're doing, what we're building in our life, by applying those principles, by applying our beliefs, by applying our desires, by applying our trust, and by applying that God is working for our good. God and his universe are always working for our good, that things are going to work out as they should. And you know what? Even if they don't work out, they're still working out for their good, because there has to be growth in this journey. And this year has been real challenging. It's been a challenging year in the real estate world, not for all, but some, and myself is one of those that sales is not guaranteed, but majority of the time things are working out, they're processing, and it's, you're good at what you do and things work out and God takes care of you, and you fill your life with pleasure. But there's times when there is those trials and tribulations, and your character shows of how steadfast, how immovable, how faith-filled are you. And I have been so faith-filled this past year, like just really trusting God and fighting anxiety, and realizing that anxiety is really outside of me. It's not really who I am, but I was starting to allow for those weed seeds. I was allowing for doubt and for fear and for worry and uncertainty to take hold and have a louder voice, have a louder vibration than the experiences of truth, that have been applied when I've applied faith. A lot of things in my life, a lot of things in your life have really needed faith. They needed the hope that things will turn out, but hope is not is not anything but hope. When you need hope, if somebody without hope, they just give up. So if you need hope, but you have to still apply faith that God is there and that he's helping you, and you have everything in you to apply everything that you need. You have all the skills, you have all the ability. The timing isn't up to you, and there's things that we can't control. We would love to control it, but we can't. We just have to continue to put towards holding our thoughts, holding our beliefs. And how I do that, often is that I can look at my things in my life and see the faithfulness, see the goodness of God being my strength, being my shield. I cannot look on myself because things get, I don't know how you do it without God. Honestly, I don't know how you do it without God, other than filling your life with other things and allowing stress and worry and adrenaline to move you forward. And that's okay. If that's your choice, then that's good. But for me, there's something supernatural that happens when, I'm in a tight situation and I get to the end of my rope, or I get to a moment where I'm just like, wow, I'm grasping. I really need to go to Jesus. I really need to go to God and just sit there for a while, or not even sit there. I got to get my praise on. Oh, when I am like, when you're tired or you're feeling like really worried about something, it's really hard to get your praise on. But that's where the supernatural takes place. That's where the empowerment beyond yourself, or you discover what is beyond what you know beyond yourself. You discover the more that you have within you, the more is God. God plus nothing is everything, but he lives in you. In him we live and move and have our being. And so when we apply faith, when we apply praise, when we apply surrendering to the goodness of our journey that we are living in. That's when we make welcome, for everything that is taking place, that is right, that is good, that is noble, that is true. When we fight against that and we get angry and frustrated and revengeful or whatever it is, then we're welcoming the not so good in our life. God good, devil bad. That's what my pastor says. He'll say, God good, devil bad. There's nothing in between. There is a count of it, and what he says is very true. God is the grand overall designer. He's the only one that created that tiny mustard seed. He's the only thing that created what is in existence. Things transfigure, things transpond, things move about, and new life comes. But he is the originator. He is the original designer. And no one knows how to do what he knows how to do. But there's an adversary, and it's complete opposite. It's always to kill, steal, and destroy what it is that is going forward in your life, what it is that God has purpose for your life. And you get a choice of whether you choose it or reject it. This is the fun thing about this book. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And you can't really do this study without, I guess you can, but it just has a lot more meaning when you can really grasp hold of the idea that God is the grand overall designer, and it really is up to us and what we choose to believe and what we act on and what we feed. But then we put the two together, and it's all encompassing, wonderful, powerful. And even here we're talking about the different levels of awareness, and I went through 4, but we want to go up to the higher level of awareness of our spiritual being, of being one with God and who he is. And so as we rise up to a place where we step out into our individual expression. We're ready to step out, and here I am. I'm going to seize the day. Boo, 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 boo. But when we do that in that level of emotion, we step out into a place of pride and anger, and I'll show the world what I can do. I can do this. I don't need anybody else. But what happens with that attitude and with that belief is that we start comparing ourselves with other people. We start believing that we're better than other people. And we really, when it comes to God and being our source, we believe that he is vengeful, that he's not generous and kind, that he is vengeful. And that's where we take on that character of belief, and we act in that responsiveness, and we're in that level of, level of awareness, and we don't receive everything that we desire to have. We're in this pull, this tug of war all the time, because it's, based upon who I am and what I can do and my strength and my attitude and my pride. And it only gets you so far. But when we move up to the next place and we can look at our life and we can assess things that, there's challenges. I can look back. This is where I am. I can look back at my life and I can say, wow, I was there at a similar time back when, and yet we made it through. It ended up being like the best time of our life. The hardest times of our life ended up being the best times of our life, because there really is beauty from ashes. When things are so burnt up and there's nowhere to go, your back up is against the wall, you got to make some decisions. You really discover who you are and the abilities that you have, the creativity that you can pull from, the people that you surround yourself with. You go into this place of discovery, and then you're able to plan for the next time, right? When you grow from something, when you have experience, then you start thinking and planning your way into the growth, and you become very intentional. You're not being intentional because of a fear, even though fear can be a good thing, right? When you're getting chased by a wild animal or chased by a robber or something, but the fear that keeps you back and holds you back isn't necessarily good, and the type of fear that you want to entertain. But moving into that level of awareness, of thinking and planning, we start to grow in who we are and whose we are and the understanding who God is. And at this level of planner, we begin to see that God is wise, that when we take on wisdom and we gain knowledge and understanding, that we see a little bit more closer to who God is. We see that he is wise and he is a God of order. He loves planning, and things do come in a planned manner when we think on this. I may make our decisions not just randomly and here and there, and I'm still learning this, a place of faith and planning, because I have great faith. There also needs to be an organization that takes place. Moving up to the next level is being a lover. That's a great level, and that's where, probably the majority of people that are in personal development and have been in personal development for a while they are really learning how to love and accept everybody, that everybody has a different world map than you do, that everybody's on their own journey, and you learn to gain more grace, more understanding, more confidence in trusting that there's a process. You became more patient with yourself, and you become more patient with others, and you don't become so attached. People that are attached in the lower levels of awareness, they think, if I lose this, I'm never getting anything back. And there's only a certain amount to go around for everybody. But for those that become non-attached, I know this is new. I may have been here before, but it feels a little bit different. I know that if it doesn't work out, it'll still work out. Everything always works out. They become very non-attached. They become non-attached to their finances. They become non-attached to the outcomes. They just know that God is working for his good because God is loving. So if you don't believe that God is loving, then there's a level of awareness that you're operating from. And I've had to get there too, and still getting there. When I get my back up against the wall and I get afraid and I get fearful about the uncertainty that is taking place all the time in the world. And we live in a great time of uncertainty, don't we? But it's when we able to pause and have faith the size of a mustard seed, when we get to a level of awareness, we can take a deep breath and say, I know that you are loving God, and I know that you and your universe are always working out for my good, because you are the great overall designer, creator, and it is a joy to surrender myself to you. And I say that in front of you guys today, because today was a really hard day. I had a good cry. I was like a good crumble, and I had to say, you know what? Where am I at? Do I believe it or don't I? Do I believe it or don't I? And then we rise to the level that we all want to see in those heavenly realms that we talked about yesterday, that we aspire to see ourselves one with God, that he holds nothing back from us. He really, really doesn't. It's us that hold things back from him. It's us that hold back from things from ourselves, of doubt and fear. Like, those are things that we hold back. God holds nothing back from you, but we hold back from ourselves. But when we reach out, we become non-attached, and we just see that I am being perfected as God is working through my life. As I'm working through the journey of my life, I am being perfected. I'm being perfected in my growth, my decisions, my relationships, my body, my health, the way I take care of things, right? The order of my life. And I have every year I'm working on the order of my life. If God is a God of order, I have so far to go. Like, we all have our things, and nobody is perfect. Nobody is perfect. And we can jump and up and down from these different levels of awareness at any given time, because we are human beings. And that is the whole point of, you need God. You need God in your life. And I need him more than I even realize. I go through my days just thinking about him and singing and praying in times that I just take it for granted. Just how much I need him, how much I need to position my thoughts, surrender and really sharpen the axe of my thoughts and sharpen the axe of my belief and sharpen the axe of my hope. Planting new seeds or getting sharper tools that'll take you further, that'll help you to step out into greater places and greater capacities in the understanding of this process of awareness. It's powerful. And I love faith. I love faith because it's something that I have to get to the end of myself, step out, and trust that God is good. He's not going to let me fall. He's not going to go off the cliff. Easy come, easy go. And we know that everything is a process and everything is a journey. So as I believe this for myself, I'm going to take on faith for you that anything is possible. So whatever it is that's keeping you back, or you're a little bit unsure, or feeling fearful, or feeling hurt, or just discouraged, I want to encourage you. I would just take out a seed and have a look at that and see how that seed has everything in it that it's been purposed to grow in, that it's been designed in perfect order. That timing, the gestation, the need for it to be cracked open. It needs to die. It needs to crack open in order for the new life to sprout. And we can't see under the surface what's taking place, but we have to have faith and trust that we know that there's a timing. There is a season for everything. And one day, planted in the right soil of life, it is going to sprout and take the life that it needs. Join me tomorrow for day 6 of 21 Day Reset. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. God bless you.